Hi friends, today we are going to make our very own safari sculptures. So I went with a giraffe, but you can do whatever is in your imagination. Let's get started. For this project, you're going to need a paintbrush, some clay, glazes, and you may want a pencil for details. First, I'm going to take that lump of clay out of my bag and I'm going to use my hands to smack it back and forth into a ball, giving myself a nice strong shape to work from. After I've done this, I'm going to start squishing and pinching that ball of clay into the general shape of my animal. So I'm thinking about the body, I'm thinking about the head, the legs, and in this case I'm making a giraffe, so I want a big long neck as well. Once I've got the general shape, I can start pinching the clay to create the other features. So I can make ears, I can make the nose, the tail, maybe I'm defining the face a little bit more. And the thickness that you're going for on all of your pieces should be pretty consistent. You don't want it any thicker than your thumb, and you don't want any really thin areas like ears. Anytime you have really small, delicate features, once that has glaze on it, it can become quite sharp. So it's really important to just take a second, use your finger, and tap down any thin, short, or sharp edges. Once I've got the shape where I want it, I can use my fingers almost like it's an eraser to smooth out any unwanted cracks, bumps, wrinkles. I like to work with a smooth surface so that the glaze has almost like a canvas to work off of. I find that gives you a better final product. And there's my giraffe. So after I've gotten the shape exactly how I'd like it, and I've gotten it all smooth, the next step is going to be using that pencil to make any kind of features, any kind of designs that I want to do that have nothing to do with the glaze. And I made a giraffe for this project, but you can make whatever you want. What is on your safari? Are you making an elephant? It could be a lion. The possibilities are really endless with clay, which is why I love working with that medium so very much. And as you can see, you can really take your time and smooth out that sculpture. The more time you spend creating a nice form, the easier it's going to be for you as you go to glaze. So I know it may seem like I'm taking more time than I probably should, but it is a worthwhile investment when you go to glaze that final piece. With my pencil, one super important thing is to make sure that your name is on this. Eventually, you're going to be dropping these sculptures off to the Ah Haa School, and this is the only way that you can remember to get it back. Make sure your name's on it. I can also use that pencil to create different features like eyes, a nose, maybe a mouth. If I want to, I can go into further detail and start lining out some shapes, like giraffes have spots. But for this project, I would rather do that with glaze since I have the two colors. And there's my giraffe. One super important thing when you're working with clay at home, make sure you use a wet paper towel to wipe your hands off. You don't want any big chunks of clay going down your sink. It's not a good problem. And now it's time to glaze. So I'm going to paint on 2 to 3 layers of the glaze. I don't want to just put on one thin coat, or it's going to look kind of like watercolor when it comes out of the kiln. It may not be that obvious as you're putting on the layers, but trust me, you will tell the difference once it comes out of the clay. And just like I would do any kind of painting, I want to paint on one layer fully, let that dry, then paint on another layer, let that dry, and then I can go in with my other color here and add some different details. Like for my giraffe, it's going to be spots. Maybe for yours, it's the inside of the ears. Perhaps you're using glaze to create the eyes and the nose. That all works. So now that I've got this piece, I'm going to show you guys one extra little trick. We're going to do what's called sgraffito. So it's sgraffito, and that is a technique in clay where you can paint on a glaze while the piece is still wet, let that dry, and then use a carving tool to dig into the clay and define those shapes. And once this comes out of the kiln, you're going to have a little bit of a texture that helps define all of those giraffe spots, and it's also going to be a different color, which is the body of the clay. And part of the magic of ceramics is that the heat that it undergoes in the kiln will completely transform this piece of mud into ceramic, one of the most, or if not the most, heat-resistant material on Earth. So super important stuff and super, super cool. And the biggest thing to take away from that is the body of the clay will be a different color when it comes out of the clay, or it comes out of the kiln, excuse me. So you can see right now it looks gray, but once this piece has gotten fired, all of those lines will turn white. So pretty fun. I would highly encourage you to try that sgraffito technique out, but if that seems a little intimidating, just using the glaze is an awesome way to create different shapes. I hope you all had as much fun making your safari sculptures as I did, and we want to see them. So if you did this project, take some photos and tag us at the Ah Haa School. And if you want to see more AHA to Go kits, be sure to check out our website. It's aha.org, ahhaa.org. See you next time.